Oh, hello everyone, and welcome to the October series of webinars. The topic that we are planning to talk for the next few weeks is uh, the role of entanglement and how do we identify how these entanglements are actually affecting us in our lives. So, how do we identify the entanglement and how do we come out of the entanglement? And how does entanglement actually impact our lives in a very big way? So that's what we are planning to talk about in the next few weeks and discuss. So the basic idea is what is entanglement, because entanglement is a kind of a jargon which is used in family constellation language. Entanglement purely means that when a person, for whatever reasons, is not in their rightful place in the family. And when I say rightful place in the family, uh, it only means that if a person is a child, they are a child of the parents. If a person is a wife to someone, they stand in the role of a wife. If a person is a husband, they stand in the role of a husband. If they are the elder or the firstborn child, they stand and live their life like the firstborn child or the second born or a girl or a boy, and they live their life completely. So entanglement basically means that when a person takes up a role which is not theirs to perform in the family, and they don't feel free to live their own life. So actually, when we were talking about this topic, we had put up a reel about how parents can identify the patterns running in the family by looking at their child, by just observing their child. And one of our clients actually came up with this idea that why don't you talk about this entire thing from the child's perspective? How do we identify if we are carrying certain patterns of the family or we are, not in our rightful place? Can you talk about this? So what we had said in our reel is that when a child is born into the family, that is the time not for the parents to actually get into complete conditioning of the child, but take care of the child, provide the child safety and security, and allow the child to show up in expression. Because when the child starts showing up in expression, is when the parents can actually see, oh, these are the things which are suppressed in the family. And hence the child is actually, coming up to show this. So most times when a child is in good behavior, it is, praised and applauded and encouraged. While when a child gets into not so good behavior, the parents start, uh, kind of scolding or correcting or fixing the child, either in a very criticizing way or a very nurturing way. But they want the child to be in a particular way, when actually the child is doing nothing but showing what is it that is there in the family which the parents have not seen, either within themselves or in the lineage. This is from the parents' point of view. This is what we had put up in the reel. Now, how do we identify when we are the child of a lineage that we are actually mm, carrying certain characteristics which don't even totally belong to us, which are not even ours to carry? These behaviors or these emotions are actually something which is suppressed either in the parents or between the parents or in the lineage or by older or younger siblings, uh, in some way or the other. And actually we are uh, taking up, not very consciously, but taking up the role of bringing it to the light and showing that this is what is happening. And in that process, what happens is we are not free to live our own lives, right? It's like I am taking some baggage or I'm taking something of someone else and saying, okay, now this is mine and I have to sort it. When it is not mine to sort at all. So, but natural, I will not have the resources or the energy to do it. And hence, I will not be free to live my own life. Now, that is actually how an entanglement looks for anyone. So, that is broadly how, like, what we want to talk about in the 4 weeks. That how do you identify that you are not in the rightful place and actually you are showing characteristics or you are showing behaviors or emotions which belong to someone else in the family. And this we have characterized or we have kind of divided into certain specific roles, which we have seen in our own sessions, which keeps coming again and again. Yeah. So one of the things that is very, very common, which we encounter in most sessions, is when a child takes on the role of a parent, meaning that there is a man and a woman, they decide to be husband and wife, they get married, and then they have a child, and then they become father and mother. So their dynamic has also changed from man woman to husband wife to mother and father. Now the child has only seen the dynamic of the mother and father, but sometimes the child starts taking up a role which is not his or hers. So Gayatri, would you like to add more on how parentification actually starts, showing up for us?
Yeah. So
And in
as
that,
you,
I would like to add something on what we want to talk about.
yeah, more or less, like, on the same line, that many times when we are struggling, we think that we are carrying something of our parents or grandparents or any ancestor, and that's how we are a victim. But I think when we are talking about these entangled roles, we want to make it very, we want to make it available for everyone, that it is our subconscious need which makes us carry it, or which makes us take on that role. Yeah. Sometimes, yes, some pattern which is quite unconscious in the parents, and that's how unconsciously they pass it forward. That's a part of it. But yet, if we take the responsibility of, oh, how did I become a parent to my parents, then I can do something about it. If I stay in the victim mode, that, oh, my parents were not available and that's why I had to do it, then no amount of awareness or healing can actually alter the dynamic for us. So I think from there we wanted to speak about these entangled roles, so that we understand how we might be in one of these roles, or whichever aspect of these roles, and how we can start coming out of it. So when we talk about the entanglements, as Priya said, that the most common entanglement that we have observed is parentification. Parentification is like we are trying to be a parent to our parents, either one of them or both of them in different ways. So, if our parents have experienced mm, that their parents were missing for them in any way, either physically because they lost their parents or one of them uh, at an early age, or they were physically separated before they could even be ready to actually have a healthy separation, then they may continue to feel that lack, either in the physical way or mental way or emotional way, and thereby, because they have received a particular kind of experience of love, they can only give that forward to their children. And in this case, if we experience that our father is not present the way we need, our mother is not present the way we need, then because there is a strong bond of love, which is usually unhealthy kind of love, because a child thinks that if my mother is sad, let me go help her so that her sadness will reduce and then she will become available to me. Or with father also something similar might happen. And without knowing the conscious story of grandparents and the parents' childhood, the child can do this because energetically the impressions are available and the children are sensitive to that. They do not have to think consciously and do it. That's why I think these patterns remain uh, much invisible to us. They become our very much way of living, and we think that this is the exact right way to do. So what we have seen so far, how parentification looks, how you can identify if there is a parentification. So either you have lived some part of your life or all part of your life that you consciously remember in taking care of one of your parents, either physically, mentally, or emotionally. It could be as simple as a mother was most of the times not well, and the first daughter had to grow up and start taking up the responsibility of what mother would have done. Not just that, but then also taking care of mother as though she is a child. This could be a physical thing, and because it is so natural, if mother is sick and mother can't do things, then somebody will have to do those things, and in that the parentification is possible. That can happen. Sometimes the parents, because they have their emotional and mental trauma, the child tries to become more understanding. Child tries to manage parents moods. Yeah, just today I was talking to one of my clients and she said that she recently got present to this thing that in her childhood it was not even told, but it was so. Can you see, so obvious, and that's why not even said in words, that everybody had to behave in a certain way such that the father's mood would not get spoiled. Because if father's mood got spoiled, then he could not focus on work. Then if he gives um, extreme reactions, then those reactions are your fault because you triggered that. And I think for all these years, it has been so obvious for her that she thought this is just the normal way until she saw somebody like a friend or someone's husband being very soft consistently for many years. It started coming across as this is a shock. This is not available to me at all. So even such simple thing that I have to be alert about, I should not spoil my parents' mood. So I should behave, I should study in a particular way, could also be an indication of parentification. So we might get entangled at any level, right? So sometimes I think the most unique situations are where the clients say that in their family history there are no untimely deaths. The parents had good childhood, you know their parents were there, and even then something shows up because it is just that one simple thin line difference in the way they operate, which is not visible. And we take up that role, the child takes up that role because the child is bound to the need to belong. And this need to belong is so fundamental that need to survive is also not as important as the need to belong. So the child is ready to sacrifice their life, their health, their entire way of living in order to just belong. And that is like, that unconscious blind love and blind loyalty, that if I do this, maybe my mother will be more available to me. Or if I do that, maybe my father will be there for me. And that one hope keeps the child hooked. So parentification is in any ways where you have made it your responsibility, that your parents live a certain life which you think is good for them, whether they ask for it or sometimes they are not even asking for it. Like sometimes, the children grow up and they get better education than parents had, then they start earning better, and the children want to make this new lifestyle available to parents, and parents are happy living in a, in a simple way, and the child is just trying to push them to, why don't you want a simple life, you know and that burdens the parents because parents don't want it, but the child thinks that it is their responsibility, that they have to make the parents life easy. They have a sense of duty. So anything that you do in order to have your parents life better, that is parentification. So on the contrary, we are not suggesting, constellation work is not suggesting that we become indifferent to our parents' pain, or we become indifferent to, you know, what, how they want to live. We are not suggesting that. Of course, that is not even possible. But even mentally and consciously, oh, you don't worry today onwards that how your parents are living and feeling. It's up to them. No, that's not what we are suggesting. We are suggesting that look for any nuances where you are in a role of, oh, this is my duty. You know, so many people like, I should be settled in my career by now. Or maybe, I should do this by now so that at this age, my parents do not have to feel worried for me. At this age, they do not have to feel sad for me. Sometimes people get married either because just parents want, even when they do not want, or they do not want to get married to that particular person because it is my duty. I shouldn't i shouldn't be hurting them at all. So anything like that, which could be very subtle, but if you start sitting with yourself and start asking yourself these questions, that have you made it your role, your duty in any particular aspect, that your parents should get a better life or they should not feel bad, then it is a possibility that you are in parentification there. So that's one aspect. We also want to talk about, if we are in parentification, then what happens as an impact, what impact we carry on our life. Yeah. Priya, would you like to add to what I said and then continue with this?
I guess this is perfect. We can talk of the impact. I think that'll be more hitting because that's more relatable, right? Like we know that this is what we are living and unconsciously doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want
Go
to
on.
talk about that?
Go on. Impact of
Okay.
fair.
So there are multiple impacts, and at times these impacts are, even when we may give you 5 6 points, if you go and do your session, some impact might come to you in your awareness, and that might be again you know a unique offshoot of whatever we have seen and we are going to share. So one of the things is, when a child is stuck in parentification, part of their energy, it's stuck into someone else's role. For example, the child who's parenting father, let's say, has excluded either the grandmother or the grandfather or both. Now, depending on that dynamic, that much of the client's energy, it's stuck in that role. So, very small amount of energy is available to focus on the self. So that's how they become unavailable to their own life. They become unavailable to think about, you know, uh, carrying on with their life. Because the flow of life is such that we take life from our parents and we grow up with that. If we take that as enough, then at a particular age, we have a healthy separation And in this healthy separation, from a boy or a girl, we become a man or a woman, and we say, now I'm a perfect individual of my own who carries the love that my parents have given me. And now I want to do something with my life. Then they have their personal goals in their relationship, in their career, um, in the the kind of life they want to lead. So usually people face issues in these aspects. We have had several experiences with clients where when they are entangled in parentification, they either struggle to find a partner, or even if they are married, they constantly face challenges with the partner. And the partner's experience might be they keep getting this, that they are not fully present to the partner, they are not fully present to their family, because a lot of energy is present there. I need to take care of my parents first. So of course then there are more consequences of that absence or not enough presence, let's say, which shows up in children uh, getting a burden of such a person that they have to do things at an early age because this parent, father or mother, is not fully available. So the issues and challenges in relationship or marriage, they might be coming from, you know, you're not fully present the way you need to be, because you're stuck in parentification. You don't feel ready enough, you don't feel confident enough to look at your own career, to have your own financial goals. Because even if you earn well, the first responsibility that you have is you have to take care of your parents. So you have to first look after them, and then whatever is remaining, and you can manage with that. So in such cases, people also feel not enough for their own life. So they experience that no matter how hard I work, I don't either get right job, or no matter how good a job is, somehow the money is gone even before it comes. The resource is not available for my own life. The resource has to be utilized for my parents first. So they may face money issues. No, uh, they may, at times we have seen that people also face issues in their health, because if they are in that role, and of course there are more layers to that, that they are carrying certain pain which belong to either grandmother, and they have excluded this grandmother, so they have to include the grandmother by carrying her health issue, for example. So it might show up in different ways in all these aspects. Yeah. Pia, do you want to add anything to this?
Sometimes we've also noticed that the child per se is not playing a role of a parent for a parent, but is trying to play the medium or the channel for the relationship. So I have to be a particular way so that my parents are together. So a lot of energy goes for the child in keeping the unit as a family, because only if there is a family does the child have a sense of belonging. So we have seen clients, like I've had a client who came directly and said, I don't think my parents have ever come out of the role of husband, wife into mother, father, because they are so involved only in their own lives and the relationship between themselves that I have been impacted by that. Consciously, he could see this for himself. Unconsciously, subconsciously, of course, there were other issues that he was facing in his life. So, a child, in order to, like Gayatri very rightly said, that in order for in order to belong, the child can put its own survival at stake. And this could be one of the ways in which this child puts its own survival at stake just to belong and make it a family. So, in such times, maybe a child might feel wiser than the parents because the child is just observing them from outside. So this is a very risky space to be in, because we can say, oh, I'm not like my father, I'm not doing anything for him. Oh, I'm not like my mother, I'm not doing anything for her. But I have a judgment about the relationship that they share. So either I am more loyal to what my father feels or what my mother feels. And in that ways, I'm excluding one of them, and I cannot see both of them in one frame. So in constellation language, we say, are you able to see them together as parents? So the child is not able to do that because the child has already taken sides. And because of that, the child is kind of has come in between the parents. So even if you mentally have any judgments about your parents, oh, they should be doing this and they should have done that and they should be doing this now, that also means that you are kind of, uh, into parentification. Not per se being a parent for the parent, but having an opinion, a judgment about their lives, their choices, their emotions, their behaviors, when actually they are the big ones. And they have had a life even before you were born. So that's a very subtle, what do you call it? A subtle, maybe impact, which people say it's okay, I'm not doing anything for them, or I'm not even like them. But that judgment in your head matters, because you're still not living out of being free from them as an individual, but living as an impact of their behaviors and that judgment. So that might be a slightly tricky way to identify yourself in parentification, but yes, that also comes under parenting. So next time you catch yourself, talking about your parents or judging their behaviors in some way, I think the question that you need to ask more will be, how is that impacting me? That will start taking you into your rightful place. Because while observing that, if something's happening to you, that means that is the impact. Yeah? That's the only point I had to add, guys.
Yeah. That's a classical case of spousification leading to parentification,
Yeah,
because a child has judged one of the parents' behavior. In fact, child has judged both. Maybe has thought of one parent as weaker, another as stronger, and that's why more dominating. And then the child thinks that the child needs to rescue the weak parent. Sometimes it is mother, sometimes it is father. So they start playing the role of that parents, and then that may show up in many, many aspects: health, their relationship with their spouse, how they feel around people, what happens in their career. So, as like, we said that we want to talk about one role at a time, but they are so interconnected that even like in this case, spousification is leading to parentification. I need to protect my mother, or I need to rescue my mother from her pain. These kind of statements, when child says to themselves and then starts making choices, I will never disappoint my parents, I will never do this because this might disappoint. So I think these ways pulls us, these are an indication that we are already in the role of parentification. In fact, I would like to share a case. In one of our sessions, it came that this child, a small baby, maybe a few months old baby, and mother was upset about something, and mother in that upset left home, or she just went away for something. That story she didn't know, but mother wasn't around, and mother's father said something about her mother, that is his daughter, that she's irresponsible. My daughter has such a small child, and she is not behaving appropriately. And this was caught by this child, and then she got into the belief system that my mother is a responsible person. My mother doesn't have smartness of life. My mother is not caring enough. My mother doesn't have the awareness of how to be in which situation. So I have to correct my mother. She doesn't understand enough. So at times when we are growing up, because we grow beyond our parents, that is possible in terms of success, knowledge, uh, at times even money. uh, we might get into the, if that has come from a place of parentification, we might become critical of our parents. So unko to nahi samjhega, they don't understand this much because I'm smarter than them. So even those, sometimes the spiritual awareness, sometimes the clients who come to us and they say that, because now I have done this work, I have more awareness than my parents and they don't understand all of this. So it's not about what words we choose, but the tone and the scenario in which they are used, either internally or externally, shows the energy. So any kind of growth which makes us feel that my parents do not have enough and I have better than them, and then that's how I can teach them or show them better or correct them, could also be an indication that we are in parentification. So I think these are the indications. We want you to stay with this. If you find anything, what can you do? As you find it, it might be uncomfortable. So just sit and acknowledge. Just acknowledge that, oh, this part of me is in parentification. And acknowledge and breathe and see how you feel in your body, in your breathing. If that alters something, because awareness has uh, power to alter things. Mentally, you might say, today onwards, I don't want to do this. That's a good beginning. But you can't force yourself. So allow yourself to move through that awareness, because the life is constantly communicating with us. So if that is coming out of awareness, that awareness will also guide you through, you know, different emotions. At times you may feel confused, you may feel guilty, you may feel sad, you may feel um, you know, angry, either on yourself, life, parents, whatever. Move through all those emotions. You don't have to fix your behavior immediately. You did that for a reason. You're becoming aware of this now for a reason. How you move through it and where you reach as you move, and whenever you embody this awareness, saying that no, I don't need to parent my parent and I am the child, that day you will be able to feel it. This I'm sharing for the self help. Of course the sessions and the therapy work is available for more proactive work, because it can make more things available to you. Yeah. For example, when I heard of this concept for the first time, my thought was, but if I know something else which I feel is better, and if I can't teach that, when I see that my mother is suffering or father is struggling or whatever, then how do I make peace with this? That they are not knowing it, they are going through a challenging situation, and I say that it's okay, it's okay. How do I handle this? Until I think it took me many years to get that if they want to alter it, a thought will occur to them. And when I think they are struggling, that means it is a suffering, is my judgment. Because they also have their own internal guidance, which will guide them, no? If they want to come out of it. If it is a struggle at all for them. And how they want to take care of it. Sometimes they'll just say, yeah, it is a struggle for me, but it's okay. I have accepted it is part of my life. Then what? So I think it took me a lot of years uh, to actually experience that my parents are so wise, which I couldn't see when I was a child. And I think that happened because I was, proactive work of uh, taking this sitting with a therapist, not just connecting the dots by myself. But that's also that's available, but meanwhile you can also take care of your emotions. You don't have to fix your behavior just because you come into your awareness. Yes, you can intend, you can say, today onwards I don't want to do this, but you will move through different emotional states. So allow yourself. I think that's all. Yeah, are we good?
Yes,
Shall we start with the discussion then?
yes.
Let's stop the recording.